What in the world is happening inside our front office? And why are we suddenly cutting loose draft picks who haven't even had a chance to prove themselves on the gridiron? Plus, we desperately need to address the terrifying, unspoken fear that is keeping every single one of us awake at night. What if our supposed franchise savior at quarterback takes a colossal step backward this season? Strap in, because today we are tearing apart the latest baffling roster shakeups, the wildest blockbuster trade rumors, and the undeniable reality of our trench depth. If you want the most passionate, unfiltered daily updates about our squad, smash that like button, share this with your fellow diehards, and subscribe to the channel right now so you never miss a beat. Let's jump straight into the madness with a massive question heavily circulating around the community regarding a potential high-profile trade. We are talking about the explosive pass rusher, Kayvon Thibodeaux. A ton of you have been throwing out the idea of giving up a precious third-round draft pick to bring him into our locker room today. Honestly, are we totally losing our minds here? Right now, at this exact moment in the off-season, my answer is a definitive, undeniable no. Ask yourself this: why on earth would we surrender highly valuable future draft capital before we even know the true identity and potential of our own defensive line? During the chaotic frenzy of the draft, the Giants were holding out stubbornly, demanding a premium second-round pick. The inside reports revealed that the Saints tried to lowball New York with a fourth-round offer, but the Giants refused to budge. So, could they eventually swallow their pride and settle for a third-round pick down the road? It is definitely possible. But we have absolutely no reason to rush into negotiations until we see our guys in pads. If we get to the middle of the season, or right up against the trade deadline, and we cannot generate any organic pressure, then we can talk about a trade. But for now, if we desperately need reinforcements in the trenches, we don't have to give up our hard-earned draft capital. The free agency market is strangely populated with heavyweight veterans waiting for the right opportunity. Cameron Jordan, Jadeveon Clowney, Joey Bosa, and Von Miller are all completely available. It is genuinely staggering to see that level of pure pass-rushing pedigree unsigned. However, if you are holding your breath for a run-stuffing defensive tackle, let that dream go right now. The Giants utterly decimated that market post-draft by scooping up Lecky Fotu, DJ Reader, and Shelby Harris all at once. Because we already invested heavily in interior depth pieces and drafted Jordan Van Den Berg, we are effectively done adding defensive tackles. I'd give it a 30 to 35% chance we sign a veteran edge rusher after OTAs. Now, we need to completely shift gears because there is a bizarre situation unfolding that is driving me absolutely crazy. Let's talk about the incredibly confusing release of Zay Frazier. I genuinely do not have a concrete clue as to why he was abruptly cut, and the lack of transparency is incredibly frustrating. Let's retrace the chaotic timeline of his short-lived career. We spent a valuable fifth-round pick on him. He showed up to rookie minicamp, participated in OTAs, and reported to training camp ready to work. Then, just days into the grueling schedule, he vanished into thin air. We initially assumed it was a brief family emergency. But he literally never came back. He missed the entirety of training camp, was dumped onto the NFI list, and the front office announced he wouldn't play his rookie year. Then, he suddenly materializes in the building late in the season. After the finale, the front office assured us he was squarely back in the mix. And now, out of absolutely nowhere, they unceremoniously cut him. That brings me to our main discussion point today, and I need your loudest, most unfiltered opinions. Question of the day: what do you honestly believe happened behind those closed locker room doors to permanently shatter the team's trust in Zay Frazier? Comment below right now. Let's address a nightmare scenario that a fellow fan brought up, a topic that makes my stomach churn. What happens to this franchise if Caleb Williams actually regresses this year? I hate to put that dark energy into the universe, but we must be realistic about the devastating consequences. If he takes a massive step backward, we are suddenly thrust into a stressful waiting game, eerily similar to the murky situation the Texans are navigating with C.J. Stroud. You still inevitably pick up his guaranteed 5th-year option next spring, unless his regression is historically catastrophic, but you slam the brakes on any early contract extensions. If he transitions from a player with brilliant flashes of rookie magic to someone who looks consistently confused in year 2, the foundation of our long-term plan starts to shake. Right now, I am completely bought in, but he desperately needs to show tangible growth. Let's pivot to the secondary, where the rumor mill is spinning out of control following the Frazier release. People are connecting dots that are miles apart. The Colts just officially released veteran Kenny Moore, and suddenly, fans are demanding we sign him to replace Frazier. Let's inject some logic here. Those two transactions have absolutely zero relation to each other. Zay Frazier was a raw, developmental outside cornerback. Kenny Moore is a highly polished, seasoned veteran who strictly plays the slot. If our front office actually makes a play for Kenny Moore, it is strictly to serve as a high-end insurance policy against Kyler Gordon's incredibly frustrating and persistent injury history. Furthermore, is an established veteran like Moore going to sign here without a guaranteed starting role? I highly doubt it. Speaking of the slot, we have to talk about the offensive side of the ball. ESPN is aggressively pushing this ridiculous narrative that our single biggest roster hole right now is a slot receiver. We supposedly even had Scotty Miller in the building for a tryout this week. Let's be real here, if we sign a guy like Scotty Miller, it is purely to be a scrappy, end-of-the-roster camp body. We are not actively searching for a locked-in number 3 receiver when we already have a fiercely competitive room full of guys ready to go to war for those targets. As we round out the roster, I highly suggest you keep a very close eye on the undrafted free agents. We have a remarkable recent history of striking pure gold with UDFAs, guys like Tyson Bagent, Jack Sanborn, and Josh Blackwell. This year, I am heavily invested in watching defensive tackle Jaden Loving and offensive guard Caden Barnett. Finally, before we completely wrap this up, I absolutely have to address the unhinged disrespect being thrown at Rome Odunze this offseason. The sheer amount of slander I am reading online is infuriating. People are acting like his sluggish month-and-a-half stretch completely defines his identity. Are we conveniently ignoring that he was attempting to play through a literal stress fracture in his foot? Yes, he suffered from some extremely frustrating drops, but to return to the field, still in immense pain, and make that breathtaking scramble drill catch from Caleb in the Packers' playoff game. That alone proves his undeniable pedigree. I am standing firm in my unshakable belief in Rome. He absolutely possesses the raw, explosive talent to ultimately become this team's undisputed number 1 offensive weapon, or a completely lethal number 2 option behind Luther Burden. The foundational pieces are in place, so ignore the outside noise, and let's get ready for an unforgettable season.